I want to share with you something that will blow your mind. It's about an infection of the mastoid process behind the ear, and it's called mastoiditis. And I'm going to give you 3 incredible insights on this condition, so stay tuned. The first insight is, I believed what I heard and was deceived. The second one is a promise was made to me but not kept. And the last one is, I panicked because of what I heard. Now, before we get into those, I want you to know that there are no coincidences. You didn't just randomly click on this video. You were brought here for a reason. Perhaps you have this problem yourself, or maybe someone close to you has it, or had it in the past. Or perhaps you're a practitioner and you want to learn more about this condition. Well, either way, I'm going to share some valuable insights with you today, so you can better understand this condition. So what is the mastoid process? Well, it's this bony prominence behind the ear, where many people have quite a bit of tenderness. Why? Because they don't realize that there are these little pockets of air in this area. And if that area gets infected, well, then you get pain right behind the ear, sometimes even down into the jaw. And if it gets really bad, you can even lose your hearing in that ear. But we're not talking about that today. We're talking about the emotional component of this condition. Let's take a look at the first insight. I believed what I heard and was deceived. What does that mean? Well, let's say, for example, a husband comes home and tells his pregnant wife, "Hey, honey, I just got fired from work." What is that wife going to feel? And in that moment of panic, she could develop an infection behind her ear. That's right. Stress alone can cause an ear infection behind the ear. It's called mastoiditis. And the word mastoid actually means behind the ear, so it's an inflammation of that area. And guess what? Inflammation is always caused by stress. It's never caused by a microbe, a virus, or a bacteria. So you could be thinking, how can I get rid of this mastoiditis? I'm going to tell you at the end of the video. I have some tips for you. But realize that stress releases histamine. Histamine causes inflammation. It attracts the white blood cells to come to the rescue. They attack the microbe, and the collateral damage is that it hurts like crazy. You have pain behind the ear, you have fever, you have all these other symptoms. But the root of the problem is stress. Now let's take a look at the second one. A promise was made to me, but not kept. Let's say, for example, that a man promises his sick wife who has cancer that he is going to take care of her. He's going to be there for her and support her through her illness, but he's not. He goes out and has an affair. What is that wife feeling? Betrayed, angry, hurt, disappointed, bitter, and perhaps a little numb. Maybe she says to herself, "You know what? I've given up. There's nothing else left for me." In that moment of hopelessness, she could develop an ear infection behind her ear. That's right. Grief can cause an ear infection. This is how stress manifests itself in our body. And this is why it's important to find the source of the stress. Because at S, not the microbe, it's the stress. And that's where the word itis comes from, which means inflammation. And that's a clue as to what's causing this condition. It's inflammation. It's not an infection. Now let's take a look at the third one. I panicked because of what I heard. Let us say a woman goes to the doctor to get a routine checkup, and the doctor says to her, "Hey, you have high blood pressure, you're pre-diabetic, you have a fatty liver, you have this, you have that." What is that woman going to think? Oh my gosh, am I going to die? Am I going to have a heart attack? Am I going to have a stroke? She starts to panic. Her body goes into survival mode, and guess what happens? Bam! She develops an ear infection behind the ear. Yes, fear can cause an ear infection, mastoiditis. Why? Because when you're in fear, you have this massive release of adrenaline, cortisol, all these stress hormones, and they manifest as physical symptoms. So you could be thinking, how do I get rid of this condition? Simple. Release the trauma, release the stress, release the fear, release the worry. Whatever it is that's going on in your life. Now I have 3 quick tips for you that will definitely help you. The first tip is to start taking a B1. B1 will reduce the stress in your nervous system. It will calm you down, relax you, bring you out of that sympathetic fight or flight response, so start taking a B1. The second thing to do is to start gargling with warm salt water. Okay, this will help reduce the inflammation in your ears. So make sure you gargle with the warm salt water, okay? And you should see some immediate results. And the third thing I recommend is to use a heating pad on the area. Okay, heat always reduces inflammation. So put a heating pad on the area and you'll start to feel better. Now, I want to share with you a story of a woman who had a similar problem. she had a lot of pain behind her ear. She had this mastoiditis, and she went to the doctor, and he prescribed antibiotics. Unfortunately, they didn't work. And so she went to another doctor, and he said, "Hey, let's do an MRI." She had the MRI, and then the doctor came back and said, "You know what? I found a small little area of inflammation behind your ear. There's a small pocket of fluid. I'm gonna drain it, and I'm gonna prescribe you some antibiotics, and I think this will resolve your problem." Well, she agreed to that, and so the doctor drained the fluid and gave her the antibiotics. And a few weeks later, she came back and told him that the problem was 90% better, but it wasn't 100%. And he said, "Well, you just need to keep taking the antibiotics a little longer. Maybe it's a little bit of an ear infection. It's probably some fluid in your sinuses that's just draining down into your throat." Well, she took the antibiotics for several months. But at the end of the day, the problem wasn't 100% resolved. And so she stopped taking the antibiotics, and it completely went away. The problem resolved itself. Now, what does this tell us? First of all, microbes are not the cause of disease. It's always the stress. Secondly, the fluid did not cause the pain. The pain was caused by the stress. Otherwise, why would the pain go away when he drained the fluid? And also, why would the antibiotics have no effect on the pain? Only the stress will affect this condition. So how does this relate to you? Whatever condition you have, whether it's in your body, whether it's in your finances, whether it's in your relationships, realize that there's an emotional component to every physical symptom. And if you want to learn how to become a master of your emotions rather than a victim of them, I suggest you watch this video here.